The Bridges Hip Hop Jazz with G.Fields, man. We here with my special guest today, man. Smoktagous77.
What up, G? What up,
What's happening, man? It's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, bro, as always.
All right, man. Let's get to it, man. My man from Detroit here, man. You know, what up, though, is that signature thing
man,
going.
That's how we say it. That's how we do it.
Yeah,
What up,
man.
though?
Hey, man, let's talk about your journey a little bit, man. Let's kind of get into your journey a little bit, man. You know, I'm just want to kind of, let some people know, man, that, you are, formerly of the group Arrested Development.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, man. So tell me, man, how was that that journey, man?
Man, that journey really opened the door for me to be an artist. You know, it's like I transformed from drummer to artist with them guys because, you see my face on billboards, you see my face in magazines, and it wasn't just, normally when you have a gig like that, the band doesn't get seen, it's just the artist, So with that gig, I was the artist, when it was time to do interviews, I was there. When it was time to do videos, I was there.
Wow.
So it was an amazing journey, man.
Okay. So how did you get the gig, man? How did you get that?
I got the gig. How did I get that gig? I was playing at downtown for Wednesday Wind Down, and I was playing for a blues artist by the name of Mudbone. May he rest in peace. And I didn't know at the time that we were opening for Arrested Development. So you just wouldn't think about a blues and hip hop.
Yeah.
You don't do those two things. You know what I'm saying? I've never heard of those two things. You know what I'm saying? But we were opening up for AD, and the bass player, Zay Williams, he was like, "Yo, man, you need to come audition for our band." I'm like, "But y'all got a drummer." He was like, "Man, you need to come audition." I'm like, "All right, cool, let's do it." I grew up listening to AD. I remember the People Every Day. With the window. I remember them songs, man. I was in middle school when they first came out. So to be given the opportunity to be given the opportunity to audition for them, man, it was amazing. But the first audition, I didn't take it serious. I didn't practice the music, I just knew, like, hey, man, I know how to play Everyday People. Right. But it was the concept behind it. It was that swag that Speech was looking for. Right. And I didn't give it to him. So I didn't get the gig the first. I didn't make the audition. However, they called me to sit in with them to do a gig called 500 Songs for Kids. And I knew, okay, Smoke, we gonna let them know, like, yo, y'all need smoke. Y'all need smoke. So after that gig, man, they called me back to audition. This time I was like, hey, man, send me whatever you need me to learn. They did that, and I learned it from A to Z. I went to audition, nailed it, ended up getting the gig, man. Been with them for about 7 years.
That's good, man. That's blessed, man. You blessed, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Glad you had that opportunity, man. And speaking of blues and hip hop, man, real quick, man, like I was talking to you earlier about, this one particular person who actually birthed American music,
Right.
Robert Leroy Johnson.
Robert Leroy Johnson.
Yeah, man. All genres of music came from, Robert Leroy Johnson. I mean, he was a blues player from Mississippi. He was a guitar player. And, he sparked the brain, that what we hear now today, R&B, hip-hop, jazz, everything, all the fundamentals came from this one particular person. And he was a black man, and it's funny that you brought up the whole blues thing, and your start was the foundation. You didn't even know that you were starting at the foundation. And being that you're a drummer, you're the foundation and the heartbeat of music. I mean, how does that feel, man, being the rhythm and making sure that you're keeping the tempo, man? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, something, brother, I don't care what band you are a part of or what band, whatever. Your band is only as good as your drummer. You know what I'm saying? We have the control over everything. We can either speed it up, slow it down. You know what I'm saying? Like we bring that emotion behind the instrument. Everybody's going to see the drummer. It's us that make you stump your feet.
Yeah.
It's us that make you clap your hands.
And chord
change.
What I'm saying?
Yeah. Even with if you ain't got that beat, then you just, I'm not saying that it's not possible because we do have some bands, that does that that doesn't require drums, but
it's a little unplugged stuff sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we all know that we need that heartbeat.
Yeah.
We can't survive without a heartbeat.
Yeah, I appreciate the drums, man. I
know you do.
Appreciate you being my drummer, man.
Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you for being my drummer. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So Smoke, we talk about these young artists that are coming up now, man, and a lot of times, man, they don't understand the foundation of music, and being that you're a drummer, man, it's good to have you here, man, because tonight I really wanted to touch on the foundation. Okay. And the foundation is something that exists, and everything exists because of that. And I feel like, a lot of the artists, they were taught history. Like every single person that went to school got history. And a lot of the 5 subjects, one of them was history. Yeah. So it's not like they walked into the game not knowing that there was someone before them. They just felt like they no longer had to pay attention to that because the money and everything else is being glorified. And technology played a big part in it. And I would like to say, man, that technology is a gift and a curse. I come from 2.5-inch tape, reel to reel. Okay. You remember? I used to switch out the reel to reel, and then we later went to ADATs and things like that. But remember when we had to listen for our mistakes?
I remember.
You remember we had to listen. We didn't have the screen where we could see your frequencies out of place, or the wave files and things like that. So the artists today, man, and I know that technology helped ruin them because you said earlier in our conversation that the internet, and before the internet, it was the technology period, that even brought the internet about. So even now today, man, you can just go get an iPhone, and 6 months later they got another one coming out. So everything is being old so fast that the kids don't really respect the foundation anymore because they feel like it's old. But everything that's old, the only reason why something's new because something was old. So a lot of times, man, I just feel like, when we're doing this music, and I know that you probably ran across a lot of young artists, and you're a drummer, you've had to sit in sets with different people. So tell me what the difference is of playing for someone like Anita Baker or playing for somebody like Keisha Cole, because obviously there's a big difference. So how do you feel about that?
Man, it's a huge difference, bro. First of all, you got someone like Anita Baker who's been doing it, and I'm not saying that Keisha Cole has to be doing it, because I don't know either one of them personally, but you have someone like Anita Baker who was, who has that gift that was birthed in her, who probably have training, who, knew what note to sing and what note not to sing. You just don't go up there and you just do whatever. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, you got to know what to do and what not to do. And first of all, her career has, she's still relevant. You know what I'm saying? Anita Baker was out back in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
And she's still doing her thing. And then someone like Keisha Cole who's a much younger artist. And once again, I don't know either one of them two. We're just comparing.
You know their music.
I know their music.
Yeah.
As far as a band setting for the two, with someone that's like playing for like a Keisha Cole, as far like the musicians that's coming up, if I can just speak from the musician point of view, with a gig like Anita Baker, you're going to play more foundation, more pocket, more feel than chops. You know what I'm saying? You go play a grown man style. Right. Because a lot of the people who grew up listen to Anita Baker, they don't know all them 32-second notes, 32-second riffs. They don't know all of that. They know, they know Anita Baker. They know her music. They don't really want to hear what the drummer guy to say until they say, okay, give it up for a drummer. You know what I'm saying? Now with a gig with Keisha Cole, honestly, to me that would be a fun gig because that kind of gig, like, I can just be chopping it, I can just be chopping it up and everything.
Yeah, you ain't got to really go back to study.
No, man, you ain't got to go back to that. You just up there, you just chopping, you soloing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do Only at intricate parts of it though, not
Right,
throughout
right.
the whole song. But you definitely get more. You could definitely get more choppy with a Keisha Cole
and you need,
than with Anita Baker again.
Right, right.
You know, 'cause Anita Baker, she could be like, "Hey, look, your ass is fire. Take your ass home. I ain't trying to hear all that shit right
Right,
now."
right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
Shout out to Anita Baker from Detroit. What up, though?
What up, though, Anita Baker? Hey, that's one of my
respect
favorites.
to both those queens. You know,
Yeah,
they,
yeah, definitely. Keisha's good.
They're queens in both their rights. You know.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So real quick, man, let's just kind of flip the script a little bit, man. I want you to give me an insight, or give the people an insight on drums, because I know a lot of people think you just pick them up and you just go play them. The drums have to be tuned, and there's keys to the drum that I know from band that you have to tune the drums to make sure that the sound is right. You have to make sure the cymbal is right. You know, so tell me what that is.
Well, for me, I know I more or less use my ear. You know, it's very seldomly that I've ever tuned my drum to an actual key of a keyboard. You know, since I wasn't raised that way. You know, the newer musicians, you know, they probably are raised that way. You know, I was, you know, taught. So I tuned into that. And my snare's gonna always pop, you know.
Is there a particular snare that you care for, a particular brand of drum that you like, your favorite? What's your favorite
Shout
drum?
out to DW. What up, though? I'm not with them, you know what I'm saying? But hey, look, they
Maybe
are my
an
writer.
Maybe an endorsement coming.
Hey, hopefully. DW.
What's that, DW?
Hey, DW.
DW, man.
Hello,
Shout out to
it's me,
DW.
Smoke. How you doing?
Shout out to DW, man, on the Bridges Hip Hop, man. Smoktagous77, man.
That
One of
is.
the best drummers in the world here, man. So, real quick, man, let's get into jazz, man, because, you know, that's kind of my forte, you know, me being a saxophonist and starting out in band, man. The first thing I picked up was a drum.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, because, you know,
Which drum was it? Bass drum?
I played the tenor drum.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
I played the buckets first. You know, there'd be no buckets as you're a kid. You know,
Hey, man,
you just want to make noise, right?
There,
so we were dreaming about being in the band. This is we 4 or 5 years old. We beat on drum, we beat on buckets. So I remember the hollow sound of the bucket and it sound like the tenor drum. So when I was able to actually get in band and I put the tenor drum in front of me, like when I got the tenor drum in front of me, and as soon as I hit it, I said, man, I like this one. And I knew the snare was the most popular because I heard the snare drum is doing all the things.
Bro.
Right, and the bass drum was cool. And I was skinny and short. I wasn't trying to pick that big drum up. You know?
Okay.
So the tenor drum, I kind of fell in love with it. But I knew that the school had a lot of drum instruments, and I knew that we was very poor. My grandmother really couldn't afford anything, my mother. So I said, I'm going to play the drums because I knew that I would eventually get an instrument. And come to find out, man, everybody got the drums before I did. So I ended up picking up a trumpet because they had so many trumpets. And I remember, man, taking that thing home and trying to blow it, man, and my head was just killing me. The mouthpiece was so little, and I always had big lips, so I'm trying to get my lips in there, and I'm blowing. The next thing you know, I'm getting these headaches. I'm like, I don't like this right here, you know? So I kind of got away from the trumpet. So long story short, man, I'm in band, and you know, they're holding up the saxophone, and everybody's deterred from the sax. Nobody wanted to mess with this horn. And the teacher said, the band director said, somebody got to play this. And I'm, you know, being big shot, I'll play it. Just been trying to be cool, not knowing, man, and I fell in love with it ever since then, man. So I've been a saxophonist, man, since then. So, you know, man, as well as I know, jazz is a really, really super defined music, and it's actually the only music that's not separated by color.
Absolutely.
So, you know, you don't know who's wailing on that horn. It could be a white boy, you know, and you be like, oh, it could be a Mexican. It could be any type of, you know, person, you know, from any, you know, race playing this instrument, and nobody cares to say that person shouldn't be playing or that person's too old. And that's another thing. You could be a jazz musician. You be Miles Davis was about 80-something, almost 90 years old when he passed away. And he was bent over, but he was still playing his horn. And nobody judged him because, you know, you got hip hop and people say things like, you know, man, that guy too old. You know, I don't feel like people should be too old to rap, because rap is an art. And I feel like the people who did it, who started, shouldn't be too old to rap. Now, I do believe that what they're rapping about should be something different than what they rapped about or trying to rap about what the young street kids rap about. But I don't think that we should be putting this stigma on ourselves and saying stuff like we're too old to do things, man. And that's what a younger generation always say, man, you too old. Like, it's my time. Your time is over. No, man, we should be doing this together.
Yep.
You know, absolutely. I mean, as long as we can do it. If you notice the whites, man, and I would say, man, the white race, man, they don't do that to each other. Kenny Rogers was great. When he came out, they said the legendary Kenny Rogers. They didn't say old school. Mm-hmm. It's only us that's doing it. Yeah. And if Mick Jagger come out right now, they're going to say the legendary Mick Jagger or Paul McCartney. Yeah. Nobody's going to say he's too old to do what he's doing. Yeah. So with that being said, man, I just kind of wanted to shed some light on that, man, because at the Bridges Hip Hop, man, and real quick, I want you to understand, and anybody and everybody else out there listening, understand that the Bridges Hip Hop was created to bridge the gap between artists and music, because we feel like people have not been able to bridge that gap between us, the old, the new, the white, the black. Like, the Bridges Hip Hop was created for that, you know what I'm saying? And the reason why we chose the bridge is because I had this thought about that Queensbridge song. I don't know if you remember MC Shan. He had a song called The Bridge. To the East Bridge, the bridge, because he was saying that the hip hop started out in Queensbridge, and KRS-One was saying hip hop started in the Bronx, which hip hop did start in the Bronx. But respect to MC Shan, I think the bridge was one of the biggest things that could have happened, because now I look at the metaphoric phrase of the bridge as what my intention and me and my partner's intention was. Shout out to Alvin Mays.
What up, Alvin?
Yeah, absolutely. So our intention for the bridge is to bridge the gap and try to fill in that void, that people are missing, man. And I'm hoping that, these segments that we got here, man, that we'll be able to fill that empty void. Because a lot of time, man, people don't know because they don't hear our voices. Mm-hmm. So since we got this platform, brother, I want to know, man, how you feel about some of these things. As far as jazz is concerned, tell me what kind of vibe is that for you?
Well,
smooth jazz, rather.
Okay, well, I'm going to take it back to when I was in high school. I was a part of the jazz band, and it was jazz that taught me how to read music. Before, how I said, me coming up, I played by ear, so I knew how to tune my drums by ear. But it wasn't until I got to high school and became a part of the jazz band, and even before, let me correct myself. Before I was in high school, I was a part of it was called the Summer Youth Arts Program, and all we played was jazz, bro. That's all we played. So jazz is a part of my foundation as well.
There you
go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. To me, I tell everybody, even my son, I say, hey, look, man, don't just block yourself into one genre. Learn it all. Definitely learn jazz. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? That jazz is going to open up your conversation when you're soloing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're doing jazz, when I hear my first time hearing a jazz drummer was Art Blakey.
Yeah.
And when they soloing, man, everything ain't the tempo stops.
Yeah.
It stops, and they just go at it. You know what I'm saying? They not soloing in time. They just
everything
stops, and everybody just looking like this at the drummer like. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Get time to breathe.
Yeah, he's having a conversation amongst himself and his instrument,
Right.
And so, yeah, man, jazz is, I don't know, man. I believe everyone need to know, the history of jazz.
Yeah.
They need to know the foundation of jazz. Jazz started in New York. Am I correct?
Well, here in America, it did start up top because a lot of the jazz artists were from,
they were from
a lot of the slavery stuff was going on down here, and a lot of the segregation stuff was going on. So a lot of these people wasn't able to go into like certain clubs. So it started up in Manhattan because they had a lot more clubs that the blacks could actually go in and play, like Duke Ellington and all of them. So they were able to go and play. So
and also as well with jazz, that gave the voice for the musician. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
If you hear most jazz songs, it really too much. You have some standards that that had singing on there, but a lot of the jazz songs, man, was just straight musicians.
Yeah.
Communicating within themselves.
Yeah, that's a language. Music is a language, and that's evidence that is a language, because they were actually scatting back then.
Yeah.
Wasn't even saying words, but whatever.
Yeah.
They would scatting because it was a bebop type thing. So
Absolutely.
real quick, man, I just wanted to say that, you know, jazz, man, is one of those things where the music is not restricted as much. You know, everything is defined in R&B to a hook and a verse. A hook and with jazz, you don't necessarily have a particular structure. So you can kind of get out of that redundant, repetitive mode, and you can just kind of go somewhere until you're ready to stop.
It's funny that you said that, brother. It was crazy. I was thinking about that earlier today. You know, I've been in my head all day today, man, playing earlier. And I'm like, man, jazz, when I was a kid coming up, because I didn't know jazz like that. I just know what I heard. Me coming up in church, you know, I knew church music. I knew intro, verse, chorus, bridge. You know, but in jazz, I'm like, okay, this is different. You know, if there a time signature to this, if there a metronome.
I mean, it's still 4/4.
But as a kid, I didn't hear 4/4. I just heard music just going everywhere. The drummer playing with the sticks, you know, in the traditional grip, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, how's he doing that? But this is a kid though, you know. Until I got older, I'm like, okay, there is a time signature here. It's not just everywhere out the place, you know.
They're able to manipulate it because it's more of it's almost like if you got a street, right? Or a highway, and you only got 2 lanes in this highway, but you got all these cars, and everybody's trying to figure out how to get around these other cars, and you just can't. You know what I'm saying? But if you had 4 or 5 different lanes, you can kind of move and spread out. Now all these cars can be on this highway. So it's like all of these instruments will have time to have communication with each other, but simultaneously they're doing it, but at the same time, the harmony is there. People, and some are in harmony with each other, some are not. The drummer can kind of go and change the rhythm up and won't interrupt the instrument, because we're not waiting for the hook. We're not waiting for the bridge. We're creating chord changes, but as we're creating chord changes, the trumpet's climbing up, the trombone know what to do. Like everybody just naturally know what to do, because it's almost like nature. You know how you got animals, how they connect with each other. You know, the bird over there, you're like, why is the lion not fighting with the giraffe? Why are they over there together? Because they understand their position.
Absolutely,
So, you know, jazz, man, it helps. I would say, man, the more I listen to it and the more I'm able to play it, I'm able to learn something new every single time I touch it, man. But I've been in R&B, and I've done that, but I don't learn as much new things because everything is already set for me. If I'm playing a set with Anita Baker, I gotta make it jazz in order for me to keep going somewhere else. Otherwise, I gotta play what she's singing.
But Anita Baker has some jazz elements in her, so you can go there with her.
Yeah, but to a certain extent, because they classify her. Now I wanted to get to that too, man, and talk about how they classifying us. And this is the reason why. Shout out to Eric Sermon, man. Eric Sermon and I, we was on this journey about 8-9 years ago, man. We was on this journey about categories of music, and this was before Sirius Radio. What happened was we just had regular FM. So what happened was, man, we never had categories of hip hop, right? Now, we did have categories of R&B at one point. Then we had categories of heavy metal, rock, acid rock, new rock. We had heavy metal, the Van Halen, and then you had alternative rock, punk rock. So you had so many different levels, and then you have gospel, you had contemporary gospel, you had the Wade in the Water gospel from church, and then you have jazz, which had new jazz, acid jazz, smooth jazz. You had all these elements. So when it came to hip hop, what they did was they didn't give us categories, because I believe what they did was they didn't want it to grow. So if you notice, in the 80s, there were a lot of hip hop artists. They were all different. They wasn't the same. This is before gangster rap. So if they had made a dance rap category, that would have lived longer. And then if they would have had a category for hard street rap, it would have lived longer. You know, I'm just saying the categories of music. If you notice now, like they got the trap, and then you got the drill rap, right? See, there's, they call it drill. So what they're doing now, they're just now starting to categorize us, because hip hop is one of the biggest genres of music right now.
I didn't know. This is my first time hearing about that.
Yeah. So drill music is a little bit slightly different from trap. Trap done been around for almost 15 years or say. T.I. probably been around how long? 15 years or so. I would say it's safe to say about 15 years, close to 20 years. So trap music has had this life. Now the younger generation is coming in like they do everything else and they're pushing it out. The drill music is sliding in so it can have a moment, which has been happening since we have started. Because we used to listen to what our mothers listened to. And then when hip hop came around, we grabbed it and we ran with it. So it's nothing different. The only difference is the violence, man. And I want to get to that too. That we talking about the foundation of music here, and we're talking about jazz and R&B and hip hop, and you being a drummer and you being the foundation, man. These kids out here, man, they're lost because they're forgetting what they should be standing on. You know, everybody's glorifying drugs, guns, money, clothes, chains. These kids only want a chain. They don't care about being rich. They care about being famous. You know, and I just want to stop, man, and say that my condolences to, Take Off. Absolutely. Very sad situation, sad day for hip hop, man. Yeah. And not only him, man, for everybody that's been lost in the last 3-4 years, man, it's just really been targeted. Yeah. These kids are being targeted, man. So I'm trying to find out how do we bridge the gap, man. How do we give them some music that feel good and not something that makes them go out and emulate something violent?
I don't know, man. I guess we gotta be the example. If they want to follow the example, though, you know what I'm saying. I don't like we still have the great hip hop artists that they can, learn from. But if that's what they want to do,
how do we get it to them? Because they know it's there. They don't respect us. So how do we put it in their face?
That's a good question, brother.
So maybe you can help me with this journey, man. And again, this platform here is wide open, to put the energy out there for the youth, man. And
maybe like holding some seminars, old school, new school,
Okay.
Holding a seminar.
I don't like that word, old school.
Okay.
Because it separates us, and that's what I'm trying to get away from. Music is music. The old school thing puts a stigma. You know what I'm saying? And they just made it a staple for themselves now to say, okay, yeah, old school, and it discredits you to a certain extent when they should be embracing the old. So let's get away from that word old. Okay. And let's say we're gonna do some seminars. What we'll do is we'll have some hip hop seminars, or we have some music seminars, and we'll teach these kids about publishing and music rights and copyrights, because a lot of them are lost and they don't even know how to collect their money. They don't know how to claim their publishing. So a lot of the companies now wait for them to get big on their own, and they'll come in and sign them and take everything away from them. So at the bridge, man, that's an empty void. Okay. And I think that's something we need to fill. As older people and people that are inside of the music, because we know that, like you talked about, the heartbeat of the music. These kids don't have the heartbeat. They got the arm or the leg. You know what I'm saying?
They got the look.
And the look. They don't have this. So what they think passion is showing off and, trying to be better than the other person. And like I said, this is one thing I love about jazz and blues and things like that. If y'all notice, man, no one compares a jazz artist to another. If you can play, they like you. If they like what you're playing, they like it. Nobody's saying Kurt Whalum is better than Gerald Albright. I've never heard nobody say Norman Brown is better than Richard Elliott. Or Richard Elliott is better than Boney James. Nobody cares, because all of those guys are able to put energy out there that people just love to receive. It's soothing music, and it gets in your spirit. And that's what we got to get back to, man. People are not saying nothing. They're not saying nothing. And I can't say they're not creative. They're just not saying anything. These young kids need to start saying something, because there's a lot to talk about. It is. Yeah. But the foolishness and the TikToks and all of the distractions that we never had, are now into play. So how do we keep these kids from being so distracted?
Like I say, brother, we need to have seminars, man. Have seminars and pull them up under our wings. You know what I'm saying? That's mentor them. You know, I think they need mentors. You know, a lot of these younger guys, who are their mentors? Who are they listening to? You know what I'm saying? Who's helping them to grow outside of that box that they're in, that bubble that they're in? So definitely, man, that seminar would be it.
Yeah, so we could put that together, man, and I would even appreciate you spearheading some of the seminars, because you know your experience and your expertise is important, man. And
I would love to do that, man. You know, 'cause I have a heart for the young people, of course, with you know the drum school, Smoktagous77 drum school. Shout out to Smoktagous77 drum school.
Yeah.
You know, we give lessons.
Yeah. Shout out to Smoktagous77 Drum School.
Yeah.
211 Walker Street.
Yeah. You know, it's my students, they're younger kids. You know, and I have that ability because I see, you know, the young bulls. You know, they just out here just smashing, man. And I learn from them. You know, but it's more to it than just smashing and just chopping it up. You have to, like you said, you have to learn the business side of it, you know. So with Smoktagous77 Drum School, plug once again, you know, I'm teaching them all of that. You know, it's not just about the chops, you know what I'm saying? It's about your character, you know what I'm saying? It's about how you conduct yourself, your integrity. All of that plays a role, you know, in this music game, man. Because right now, man, you know, it's like, the stigma of hip hop right now, man, is all bad because it's the young guys. You know, everything is about kill, bitch this, you know what I'm saying? I pop this and do all that.
Right.
And that's not giving out good energy, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and we wonder why we having all these deaths, you know? You know, you're putting out that negative energy, man. You know? Yeah. And once again, you know, condolences to everyone who have lost their lives within these last 2 to 3 years, man. There's been a whole lot of them, you know? Yeah. I'd rather see these guys lose their life, man, because they got old. Yeah. You know, they got older, or you know, and not, you know, still in their prime, man, and you know, and just getting up out of here to gun violence. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So definitely, man, that's my phone over here ringing, man.
And it's also affecting their income.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, the touring is the biggest side of the income. That's the biggest income for artists now. You know, as a drummer being on tour, it's where you make your money at. Absolutely. So if you're on tour and people are afraid to come to your shows, or people are afraid to put the shows onto their venues, then you're losing money. But that's where we come in at. So what they have done, and they don't even realize what they've done, is open up the lane for us. Because now people are more in tune to live music now, because they don't want to be shot, killed. Even the younger people, what I noticed, they like live music as well. So now what we could do is start inviting some of these rappers here and there to get on some of these live music platforms and let them rap and show them how good it feels without having someone to be shot outside the venue or somebody too drunk, or, you know, and the older people that are in there actually enjoying it. So I think it's time for us to try to at least make a merger, you know, and you know, it's been done before, but we were more, I would say, more acceptable to what the older people were doing. Okay. And you know, we're the only generation now that do what our kids do. You know, our mothers didn't listen to our music the way we listen to the younger kids' music today. Yeah. So we kind of more in tune with them, and they're more in tune with us. But at the same time, the violence has taken a front seat, you know, to everything now. So, man, you know, it's almost like, you know, if they don't have a chain, they don't want to be doing something or out there. If they don't have a blunt, they don't want to go in the booth until they smoke. You know, we have the studio next door, and man, I watch people come in here, man, and blow blunts all day, which nothing against weed, and I know it's legal in a lot of states, but you know, some of these kids can't operate without it. So your creativity depends on the marijuana. So a lot of times they associate the studio with night. There's those type of daytime hours. People will not come in here because they feel like it's a vibe for them. But they've forgotten the craft is not that, you know. Do you come in here to smoke, or do you come in here to do your verse? So somebody come in here and rent 2 hours in the studio and then go smoke for an hour. Come back, rap for 30 minutes and want to mix in the next 30 minutes or 15 minutes. It's ridiculous, because what they're not understanding is they don't understand that they're making this drug more important than their music. And how do we get these kids to focus in on the music, man? The music is important.
at the end of the day, man, it's all a mindset, really. You know, I was that guy. You know, I smoked everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no place I have not had some good weed. You know, but at the end of the day, I'm like, this plant doesn't make me. I make this plant. You know what I'm saying? I don't need this plant to make me think I'm going to get on the stage and sound good. I can sound good without the plant. You know what I'm saying?
But how do you get the kids to understand that? How did you get there?
It was all the mindset. It's just everything starts for me. Everything starts with the mind, man. You can achieve whatever you put your mind on. It's just, do you want to do that though? It's a decision that you have to make.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the plant is going to be there. Tell that plant, hold on, let me put my work in. Then I'll come back to you, plant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But don't let that plant ruin, you know what I'm saying, what you got going on. Because like you said, you coming in here renting 2 hours, you go smoke for 1 hour, you know what I'm saying? Hey, look, we'll be glad to take your money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Hey, look, but you want to waste your money, that's on you. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
but be productive about it, man. Make smart decisions. You know what I'm
that
saying?
should be implemented in the workshop.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of them are burning up their money. And I know a lot of times the money is good for them because they feel like they can go get another $1,500 and go do it all over again. You know, we were more careless about when we spent money.
Absolutely.
You know, let's fast forward a little bit, man, to equipment, man. Because I know, Smoke, that you are an engineer as well. And you have been to school, and you have been to school for engineering. So, you know, I know that you've been on every spectrum of the music. So, how good does that feel? Because me being an engineer, you know, my background, I'm coming from an engineer. Shout out to Eric Sermon for giving me an opportunity to be his engineer earlier on and do some mixing and things, man. But, you know, before Eric, I was, you know, had my own studios because I felt like I needed to do everything because I didn't have the resources, so I did everything. So tell me about your experience and your journey to becoming an engineer, and why did you want to become an engineer?
You know something? I'll be happy to answer that question for you. The reason why I wanted to become an engineer, I've been in studios my entire life, sitting behind drums, not knowing anything what that guy is doing behind this big old electronic board that has knobs and faders and all this other kind of stuff, you know. And it wasn't until my last year with AD, I was like, you know something, man, like, what else is there for me to do? You know, I think I have literally reached my cap at that time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm like, okay, I done seen the world numerous times. I done played for this artist, that artist. Now I'm out here I'm out here to be the artist. Like, I asked myself, I said, Smoke, man, what we gonna do next? What, you know, I have to always go up, man. I can't stay like this, brother. I just can't stay like that. Right. I gotta keep elevating. And I was like, you know something? Let me go back to school. Let me go to school and learn how to make my own music. You know, because I can produce, I can hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can do all of that, but let me get a paper behind my name. You know what I'm saying? I've been like I heard you say. You know, I've been doing this thing my whole life, man, and you know, I want to go and get my doctorate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know, we sweated, we put in blood, sweat, and tears, man, over this, man. Yeah. Let's get something that's gonna show that what we did.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was, man. Like, so I went back to school and I got my degree in audio production. Shout out to Full Sail. What up, though?
Shout out to Full Sail.
Shout out to Full Sail. And one of my good friends who actually motivated me to go back to school, man. My good friend, his name is Turtle Tracks. Turtle Tracks. Thomas, I can't remember what your last name is. Thomas, forgive me if I'm saying your last name wrong, brother. But I saw that when he went back to school. I saw that when he went back to school. I'm like, man, like, I can do this too, you know, because I ain't been in school since I graduated. You know?
Yeah. I ain't gonna ask you when you graduating, bro.
Hey, man, I came out in 2020.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
But you know, being in school, man, learning how to operate Pro Tools and Logic and, you know, all these different DAWs, man. And I'm seeing my good buddies, one of my mentors, and the guy who actually gave me my name, Smoke. Awesome brother from Detroit, Marcus Devine, and he's the one who really gave me my start as a professional drummer. So seeing him work and seeing how he do it, I'm like, man, I want to learn that too. Yeah. I'm coming back to school, man, to sit behind a different chair. You know, to learn that when I'm hearing frequencies and you know what I'm saying, and
cutting highs and lows.
Yeah, you know, and I'm still learning. I'm still getting my feet wet, man. And I appreciate the opportunity to be, you know, one of the engineers here at AMS. You know,
yeah, absolutely. Man.
I'm forever growing in that art, man. There's something different.
Yeah,
it's not drums.
Yeah,
you know, it's different sitting behind that console, you know what I'm saying? Behind my drum, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do this with my hand tied behind my back. Right. But behind that chair, you know what I'm saying? It's different.
But it's still a language, you know. Me and my journey with engineering, I became an engineer by default. I didn't really want to be an engineer, but I always knew equipment.
Okay.
Because I've been around since the first drum machine, and I'm gonna tell my age. I'm 51 years old. I've been around since the first drum machine, the Elise 1600.
Yes.
Yeah, man. It was just a bunch of toms and everything on it. But I remember it. I was sneaking to the record shop, and the older guy that used to be a photographer, my mom and him was really cool. And, you know, he had a record shop, man, and we would kind of go in his record shop, and a lot of time he'd be drinking and stuff, and he'll get lit and kind of be up there and fall asleep. We'd be back there going through his equipment and tapping on stuff. So I kind of fell in love with producing at that time, because he was also a radio disc jockey on the radio station.
Okay.
Shout out to WMGO, Canton, Mississippi, many years ago. And long story short, man, I remember the production side of it, and I just knew that if I always had to go to somebody's house who had the equipment, the chances are I wouldn't be able to rap like I wanted to or do things, because I wanted to be an artist as well. And I had the roots of the music and the sax and all that. All that stuff was playing around the same time. So, you know, heard my first rap record in 1979.
Nice.
You know, fell in love with music in 82, fell in love with rap. I think I may have heard Rock Box and somewhere around Suck MC's a Rock Box, and lost my mind after that. It was around 83, 82, you know, 7th, 8th grade, going into 8th grade. Our 8th grade was our high school started in 8th grade. So I was able to do that, man, and the equipment was just coming out by the boatloads at that time. And Pro Tools wasn't around. It was like Cubase and Cakewalk, and a lot of those other programs was out. And I just started falling in love with the technical side. My cousin P.O., shout out to my cousin P.O., Bump That Radio, which is our radio station. Y'all stay tuned. He was one of those technical people back in the days. He had this Apple Macintosh. First time ever seeing an Apple Macintosh. And he had a program on it where he can kind of mess around with the music and tie it into a disc. You remember the little disc? We slid the disc in and record. And it was kind of the first time I just fell in love. And after that, man, I just kind of started following all the equipment. And every time something came out, I was privy to it. And a lot of people around me that was doing it, man, this white boy, man, his name was Jim Cobb. Shout out to Jim Cobb. He was this rich white boy, man, and he had all kind of live equipment, but he never really had recording equipment. So we learned how to mix on live boards and record on live boards. So when I got to the point of, you know, Pro Tools and all that stuff, when it came out, I was already familiar with it. Okay. You know, I never had to go to school, kind of grandfathered into it. So, man, my hat go off to you, bro, like anybody who go to school for it, because I know how technical it is, and people don't understand it's a language. Yeah. Like when you're sitting behind the boards, you not only have to be technical, you still got to have the music ear, because you still got to listen for the artist. You still got to listen for the tune. And now this auto-tune stuff, it's even worse, because you got people coming in and saying, hey, man, put me on this. And you're like, what? You want to be on the A flat? They don't understand the language. Yeah. So even though the modules have the flats and sharps and things in there, the artists don't even know that. They just say, man, this is what I be putting it on, but they don't know what it is. So I'm having a revelation right now, man. I was with an artist once, and he's like, I don't want to hear myself. And this is the first time I've ever heard that.
You say he didn't want to
hear himself? He didn't want to hear himself. I'm the engineer. He's the artist. He didn't want to hear himself. I said, how you going to disconnect yourself from the engineer? I need to hear you. You don't want to hear you say, yeah, well, I thought maybe just pull off one side of the headphone like most people do when they want to hear their natural sound and their voice. He said, nah, I don't want to hear myself, period. So I got up and walked away, man. He's like, hey, man, what you doing? I said, well, ain't no reason for me to sit here. You don't want to hear you. I can't hear you. I mean, what's the disconnection at? So it's this thing that they do, man, and in the music, in the guidelines of music, you know it's wrong. Yeah. So it's hard for me to sit and record somebody wrong. And this is what they do. Auto-tune, a lot of times, even though you're doing auto-tune, auto-tune just tunes the note that you're singing. Yeah. Doesn't mean you're singing the right note. Yeah. But they've been hearing it so, like, it's orchestrated to them. They've been hearing it in their ears so long that they don't care if it's wrong. It's what they want to hear. And there's a million people out there that's listening to it wrong. Yeah. According to music. So those type of things, man, that would just change the narrative of music. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's sad, man, because even as an engineer, I have no passion for it anymore. Okay. I mean, I still do it. I engineer my whole project. Okay. You know, shout out to In the Moment album, still out since April 15th. Yeah. On my second single, man. And fast forward, man, real quick. I sure appreciate you being a part of the video, man.
Brother, it was an honor to be a part of that video. Knuckleheads featuring Gravy.
Featuring Gravy, y'all know what it is. Jamal Woods, shout out. You know. We met actually during my project.
Talking about when me and you first met.
When we first met. Yeah. We met April 15th.
Oh, you remember the date? Okay.
Yeah, because it was the date of my release.
Okay.
First time I ever seen your face, but I knew you were. Seen your face before, but physically us meeting at my release, the foundation of my jazz album. So we here talking about the foundation, bro, and it's all over the place.
Yeah, it is.
We met at my release because I hired a band, and he called me and told me he had to switch some band members around. I had no idea you was gonna walk into the room, bro. Yeah. But ever since then, we've been rocking.
Yeah. And that was April 15th. Look, that was this April, y'all.
This April 15th.
Y'all would think that I've been knowing this brother, you know, at least what 10 years. You know what I'm saying? That's just you know, the good fellowship of brothers.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man, that's good vibration.
Yeah, and by the way, man, Smoke has you know, gotten into a whole nother way of life, man, and the brother has definitely walked into another thing that we have in common. We're both, you know, proud to be Masons.
Yes.
You
I
know,
hold my square proudly.
Yeah, man, that's it, brother. You know, man, and nice to meet you, brother. You know, so at the end of the day, man, I feel that, you know, certain life changing, you know, things that are happening to us is not by default. It's purpose for it. I mean, we have purpose to be here, man, on this platform. We have our own platform, man, and you know, and not to knock any other platforms, man. I just hope that the bridge could fill some of these empty voids, man, and that's what I'm working so hard to do, man, on this platform. And we got many shows, you know, other than Jazz with G.Fields. You know, we got the CEO Talks with Alvin Mays. We got the Bridge Talk with Jess Wright. You know, we're gonna add a whole bunch of other elements around, man. And shout out to, man, all of the artists out there, man, that's thinking about, you know, the mechanics, because the mechanics is what we're here to talk about today. Like, you can have how many people driving that car, but if that motor in that car and every lifter, every piston, every oil pump, every fuel pump, every oil line, fuel line is important. It's so important, man, to the point where it's like you can't go nowhere without the motor. And we are part of the mechanics. That is some of the most amazing things to be a part of. You know, some of the most amazing things to be a part of. And I'm so glad, man, that you here, man, and we're able to, you know, sit in front of each other like brothers, man, and actually have a peaceful conversation about something that we're passionate about, man. So if anything else, man, you know, you got to say, man, let's continue this conversation, brother.
Hey, shoot, man.
Yeah.
It's whatever, you know. I do want to give a few shout outs, you know. I want to give a shout out, first of all, to you, Alvin, AMS, you know, the whole entire AMS fam, Kurt, you know, we got English in the house, you know. We
absolutely,
got D,
absolutely.
We got everybody here.
You know, absolutely, man.
My children, you know, my wife, Keisha Johnson, you know, my
shout
mom.
out to Keisha, man. Shout out to Keisha.
You know, she's a fellow. She's a part of that journey as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, she's
very much intricate part of what you got going on with that too, man.
You know, she shines her stars. You know,
that's good.
Her stars are shining bright. You know.
Shout out to Keisha, man. Yeah, shout out to Keisha, man. You know, hey, man. You know, you just man, you never cease to amaze me, man. Like it's like every time we talk, man, we building. You know, we've been building, man, and I'm so glad you're on your journey, man, and to see you here, man, with us, man, and we family, you know, and we're able to you know, shed a lot of light on artists and even on our own projects, man. And I know you got your EP coming up,
man.
We're
working on it.
Let's talk about it.
On it.
Let's talk about your EP, man.
Working on it. I'm maybe 4 songs in. Tonight, hopefully, that's what's been calling me. One of the artists who I wanted to feature on the song. Shout out to YI.
Shout out to YI, man. Shout out to
the regime.
Yeah, absolutely, the regime.
Yeah. So man. Hopefully, we can get it done by first quarter, man, and show the world. Some good positive vibrations.
Hey man, AMS and dreams, man. You can't spell dreams without AMS.
Yeah, it was.
So we're definitely glad, man, to be a part of your project, marketing, promoting it, and actually recording it, mixing, and me being featured, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
on
yes.
the joint or two,
on one of the songs. Oh yeah,
yeah,
man. On a couple of them, really.
Yeah, I'm here for whatever you need me to do, brother. You know how the obligation take care of you, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's what it is. So, man, Jazz with G.Fields, man, the Bridges Hip Hop, man, has been, it's been a long journey, man. And again, man, I just want to say, man, your contribution to music and being a part of AD, and if anybody don't know what AD is, that's shout out to Arrested Development.
Yeah, shout out to Arrested Development. Speech.
Speech, man. Shout out to Speech, man. Very incredible lyricist, man. And
Yeah,
still out there doing his thing, man.
Yeah, I think they're overseas right now. They're still out there doing their
Yeah, that's
thing.
good, man, man. And the beauty of it, man, if once you move on from something, man, you don't always, you can still respect something, you know what I'm saying, that you've been a part of, man. And I think you being a part of Arrested Development, man, has helped shape and mold you into the artist that you are today, man. You know what I'm saying? So again, that foundation. Yeah. Nothing is happening without a foundation, man. If anything don't have a foundation, that shit crumbling. No matter what it is, no how much money you got, whatever. If you ain't solid, you know what it is. Yeah. So here at the Bridge, man, we solid, man. Again, shout out to my partner Alvin Mays, man, and he's doing some wonderful things, man, with the Bridge, and man, we are going to have so much more to come, man. But again, this technology, man, it's a gift and a curse. And if we didn't have the technology, we wouldn't have the setup that we have. So we got to appreciate the gift and the curse, because it is ruining a lot of the young artists. It is ruining these guys. So what we want to do, man, is just keep positive vibes, man. And I know you're about an energy person, man, because I know that I've seen you, in your gear before. Yeah. And, if there's anything you want to talk about that, man, because you're pretty deep, brother.
You talking about with my unk?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Hey, man. Hey, look, man. The unk represents life. I'm not wearing my unk right now. I'm wearing my king. I'm wearing my lion, my lion bracelet. But don't get me wrong, man. I got my unk tatted on my arm, man.
Smokes.
The symbol of life, man.
That's right.
And I'm all about life, brother. I'm all about it. Especially, us, getting over 2020, man. We lost so much, man. We lost many people. And, I'm grateful to still have life. I'm grateful for it, man. I'm grateful that I could be here right now today, man. And that life is a huge focal point. The Ankh it is a huge focal point of my life, because it represents what I firmly believe in, life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You are the life, man. You're the life of the party, man. You the drama.
Man, I appreciate that, brother.
So real quick, man. I know you talking about your kids, man. Are they drummers? Are you training them to be drummers or
my children?
Musicians? Yeah, your children.
My son is actually a drummer. My son, I have a son and a daughter. My son is the one that's playing drums.
Oh, okay.
My daughter is, she's finishing up her last year of college, man, to become I believe she's an English teacher. So, but my son, he's literally following in my footsteps. So he's in Detroit right now, man. He sent me a record of him. He's always sending me his tracks. I get a random text. It don't say, "Hey, Dad." It don't say nothing. Just be his track.
Right.
That's all it is, just his track. And I listen to it, and hey, look, I don't know. He's making his beats on his iPhone with using GarageBand.
Oh wow!
And it sounds good.
Yeah, he know what he's doing.
He know what he's doing. I'm gonna let him know, like, hey, look, man, that shit suck. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be 100 with my. I don't want my son to fall prey to the, to what we hearing now.
Right,
like,
exactly.
No, bro, like, make your shit sound good.
Practice your craft.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to hear your music 40 years from now, when I'm. You know what I'm saying? I'm 40. I want to hear your music when I'm 80 years old. I want to still hear your music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So He's putting out some good music.
You sound pretty good. The last track that you let me hear, remember we were in there working on some stuff.
Yeah.
And you pulled it up. Yeah. I was like, that's your son?
That's my
you
son.
Guys were going back and forth.
Oh, that was my song, but that was me and him going back and forth on drums.
Yeah.
Also, Smoktagous, whatever we gonna name it, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be featured on that.
That track was crazy. I was like, man, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But again, man, you being a foundation and you have a begotten son. You know, begotten means to come take from.
Yes.
And your son is actually picking up a spirit, man. And that's what it is, man. Music is a spirit, and it has to get in you. And this is what these young kids are not letting music get in them. They're letting it go past them.
You know, speaking of that song, it's actually entitled "Wool, Bronze, and Fire."
Okay, break that down.
You know, I got that from, it's actually biblical. Who do we know? They say his hair was made like wool.
Jesus, man.
Jesus. Like fire.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? His skin looked like bronze.
Okay.
You know? We walking in our kingship, man. We're walking in our lineage. Did I say it right? In our lineage? Did I say it right?
You said it right, bro.
Okay. We're walking in that line of the creator, man, of Jesus. You know what I'm saying? The light of the world. You know what I'm saying? Like Jesus. So everything to me that I say, you know, if you hear me talk, I'll be like, oh man, that's Jesus. To me, if it's Jesus, it's all good.
It is, bro. You know? Amen.
So I'm honoring.
Shout out to Jesus.
Shout out to Jesus.
Shout out to Jesus, man.
King James Version, you know what I'm saying? NIV version.
Hey, all versions, huh? Shout out to all religions, man. Anybody that believe in something greater than themselves.
Absolutely.
Man. Yeah, man.
So, yeah, man. So, the name of the song is called Wolf, Bronze, and Fire. And, yeah, man, it's me and my son. And I'm honored, man. Just talking about it, man, it touches me to be able to record a song with your own flesh and blood. You know, so like you say, you know, your begotten son, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and to hear what he's doing, it making me want to be like, wow. Okay, let me go back and retract my drums so I can keep up with him.
But
you know
it
what
started with your seed.
Yes, I hold my seed.
You see, you planted that seed, and now your son is growing from that seed, man. And that's just the rotation of life, man. Yeah, man. And this is what people don't understand, man. We talking, man, but music is all of that. Music is the world. Can you imagine a world without sound? No, none of us can. I mean, think about it, man. Like you need wind to produce sound. Yeah. So imagine all those things that are going on out there in the universe, things colliding into you, and there's no sound. You would think that the big boom would probably tell one of our ears would kill us. Yeah. There's no sound.
Yeah, we'd be crazy, bro.
But we are blessed here on this planet with sound. Yeah. And we don't even understand the travel of sound. Sound travels like light. You know, and for you to be blessed with that and for that to be running through your veins, man, it's a chemistry. You know, music is a lot deeper than what people know it to be. And again, man, the spirit lives within us, man. And it was just amazing, man, to just have you on this show, man. But before we go, bro, I want to get into politics. Are you voting? Tuesday?
Can I take the fifth on that one?
Hey, man, you have every right, man. But, you know, a lot of times, man, you know, we as black people, man, feel like we have to do something because we're black. And I get, you know, the fight for the voting and the rights and things. But we're at a time, man, where people are just subjective to what they want to do and what they feel good about and what they don't feel good about. But I'm going to say this, man. I'm going to vote on Tuesday. Okay. I'm still a little bit undecided, but I'll figure it out by Tuesday. But, man, I am here to say that I am blessed, man, and have a privileged position, man, to give you a platform. You're in a privileged position to help me with platforms and going further in music, man. So I just want to thank you for being a part of the Bridges Hip Hop and Jazz with G.Fields. My man, Smoktagous77.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, brother. You already know what it
Absolutely.
Is. Okay? All right. Signing off, man. Jazz with G.Fields, man. The Bridges Hip Hop. Y'all know what it is, man. Keep it locked.